If you're going to accuse me of breaking into your room, Mr. Cole, you should probably let go of my hand first. The words left my mouth before common sense could stop them. Adrian Cole opened his eyes. 1 second, he was asleep. The next, every muscle in his body went still. Not relaxed. Controlled. Dangerously controlled. His dark gaze dropped to our hands. His fingers were wrapped around mine so tightly my knuckles had gone pale. Then he looked at me. At my black maid's uniform. At the chair pulled beside his bed. At the gray morning light bleeding through the floor-to-ceiling windows. I had worked at Cole House for 12 days. Long enough to understand one rule mattered more than all the others. Nobody entered Adrian Cole's bedroom without permission. Nobody. The door opened behind me. 3 men in dark suits stepped inside. I recognized Ethan Mercer, head of security. The other 2 were men I had seen patrolling the estate at night. All 3 stopped when they saw me. Adrian still hadn't released my hand. His voice came low. Who let her into my room? My stomach tightened. You did. Ethan's expression changed. Barely. Adrian's didn't. I did what? You wouldn't let me leave. His eyes returned to our hands. Only then did his fingers loosen. I pulled mine back and rubbed my wrist. 4 faint red marks crossed my skin. He noticed them. Of course he did. Adrian Cole noticed everything. I heard glass break around too, I said. I knocked. You didn't answer. You entered anyway. Yes. Why? Because it sounded like someone hit the floor. I didn't. No. You knocked over the water. I pointed toward the carpet. Broken crystal glittered beside the nightstand. A dark stain had dried beneath it. Adrian sat upright. Even half awake, white shirt wrinkled and hair slightly disordered. He carried the kind of authority that made everyone else instinctively straighten. What happened after you came in? You were breathing badly. I was asleep. You were fighting something. His eyes sharpened. I should have stopped. Instead I said, you kept saying a name. Silence. What name? Daniel. The room changed. Ethan looked down. One of the guards shifted his weight. Adrian's face became unreadable. Leave us. The men disappeared instantly. The door clicked shut. Adrian looked at me for several seconds. Who told you that name? No one. Claire. It was the first time he had ever used my first name. I hated how much more dangerous it sounded than Miss Bennett. You said it yourself. His jaw tightened once. Then he reached toward the nightstand. Stopped. Opened the top drawer. Empty. Something inside him snapped into focus. He checked the second drawer. Then the third. What is it? I asked. He stood. Did you touch this drawer? No. Did anyone else enter? Not while I was here. He crossed the room and opened the door. Ethan. The security chief appeared immediately. Lock the estate. My pulse jumped. No vehicles leave. Preserve every camera log before anyone accesses the server. Ethan's gaze flicked toward me. Adrian caught it. She stays. I stared at him. Excuse me. My weapon is missing. For 1 second, I forgot how to breathe. A gun had disappeared from his bedroom, and I had been found beside his bed. You think I took it? If I thought that, this conversation would be different. That did not comfort me. Adrian crouched beside the shattered glass. He lifted one piece by the edge. I remembered the smell. Before my mother got sick, I had completed 2 years of nursing school. I had put the program on hold when bills and caregiving took over, but I still knew enough to recognize when something was wrong. Wait. He looked up. The water smelled strange when I came in. How? Bitter. Like medicine. His expression went cold. Not angry. Worse. Certain. 10 minutes later, Ethan returned with a tablet. We pulled the hallway footage. The screen showed Adrian's corridor. Timestamp. 2:06 a.m. A shadowed figure approached his door. Used something at the lock. Entered. 11 minutes later, I appeared. Adrian froze the image. For half a second, the intruder's wrist caught the camera light. A silver watch flashed. Adrian stared at it. Too long. Do you know who that is? I whispered. No, he was lying. I knew because Adrian Cole blinked twice. And suddenly I understood something far worse than being suspected. The person who had drugged the Mafia Boss, entered his private room, and stolen his gun wasn't an outsider. It was someone he trusted. You don't investigate my house, Adrian said quietly. You survive it. By 8 that morning, Cole House no longer felt like a mansion. It felt sealed. Phones had been collected. Gates were locked. Every employee had been separated into different rooms. Security moved through the halls with the kind of silence that made everything worse. Nobody raised their voice. Nobody needed to. Adrian stood in the library wearing a fresh charcoal suit, as if he hadn't spent the night drugged, disarmed, and half-conscious with his hand wrapped around mine. For personnel files lay open across the table. Ethan stood opposite him. Only 4 people knew the secondary bedroom code, he said. Adrian didn't look up. Names. You. Me. Marcus Hale. Daniel used to. The last name changed the air again. Adrian turned 1 page. Who verified the lock after Daniel died? I did. Who signed the reset? Ethan hesitated. Marcus. I remembered the silver-haired man immediately. Marcus Hale. Polite. Calm. Always smiling at the staff like he remembered exactly how invisible they were supposed to feel. Adrian closed the file. I want to leave. Both men looked at me. Adrian's expression stayed flat. No, my fear became anger faster than I expected. You don't get to say no. Someone entered my bedroom, drugged me, removed a weapon, and left before you arrived. And I didn't do any of those things. I know. That stopped me. How? Because you used your employee access card at 217. It created a permanent log. So, if you planned to kill me, you chose the least intelligent way to enter. I stared at him. That's supposed to make me feel better? No, at least he was consistent. He turned back to Ethan. Test the glass. Already sent. Good. Now feed Marcus the wrong vehicle. Ethan's eyes narrowed. What vehicle? The gray Mercedes supposedly seen near the east gate. There wasn't one. I know. I understood before Ethan answered. You're baiting him. Adrian finally looked at me. Yes. He gave 3 different versions of the same false story. Marcus was told about a gray Mercedes. A security captain was told about a black BMW. The driver supervisor was told about a white van. If any version reaches Moretti, Adrian said, we know which channel is compromised. Not which person, I said. A faint shift crossed his eyes. Approval. No. Which channel? He looked at me more directly. Never confuse suspicion with proof. 3 hours later, Ethan returned holding a secure phone. Moretti's people are asking questions about a gray Mercedes near the east gate. My stomach tightened. That was Marcus. Adrian's voice stayed cold. That was Marcus's channel. You still don't believe it's him? I believe what I can prove. The lab report arrived seconds later. Sedative residue. Strong enough to disorient him. Weak enough to keep him alive. Someone had wanted Adrian vulnerable, not dead. Not yet. Then the house phone rang. Ethan answered. His expression changed. It's for Claire. I took the receiver. Hello. A woman spoke quickly. Ms. Bennett, your placement at Cole House has been terminated effective immediately. I froze. By whom? Mr. Cole's office. I looked across the room. Adrian was already watching me. Did you fire me? No, the line went dead. Ethan immediately reached for another phone. Trace it. My mouth went dry. Someone had gotten me into this house. Now someone wanted me removed before Adrian could ask why. He stepped closer. This is no longer about what you saw last night. I swallowed. What is it about? His gaze hardened. You. Someone requested you by name 6 weeks before you ever stepped inside my house. Adrian slid my employment file across the table. I didn't touch it. That's impossible. Unfortunately, impossible things rarely leave paperwork. The staffing agency had spent the last hour denying responsibility. According to them, my application had been ordinary until an administrative request moved it directly to Cole House. I stared at the handwritten code near the bottom. CB, 27 priority. My initials. My age. Someone had wanted me here. Who made the request? We're tracing it. I thought you controlled everything. Adrian's eyes lifted. People who believe that usually become careless. No defensiveness. Just fact. I hated that answer because it made me trust him slightly more. My thumb found the silver ring on my right hand. Adrian noticed. Again. Stop watching me. I watch everyone. That's comforting. It isn't meant to be. The library door opened. Ethan entered carrying an old photograph. He placed it between us. My breath disappeared. My father stood outside a warehouse, younger than I remembered him, wearing the brown jacket he refused to throw away even after Mom bought him a new one. Beside him stood another man. A red circle had been drawn around that man's face. Where did you get this? Adrian answered. Moretti surveillance. I looked at him. No, the man beside your father was Peter Lawson. He handled financial operations for one of my companies. My father was a bookkeeper. Yes. He had nothing to do with people like you. Adrian didn't react to the insult. Riverside Imports. My heart stumbled. Dad had worked there. 30% of Riverside was controlled through a coal holding company. I pushed back from the table. You're saying my father worked for you? Indirectly. Did he know? Probably not. Probably. I suddenly hated that word. Ethan placed another document down. Old accounting records. Transfers between companies I didn't recognize. One name appeared repeatedly. Thomas Bennett. My father. What is this? Your father flagged discrepancies, Adrian said. I followed the entries. Money disappearing from Riverside. Reappearing through shell corporations. Then stopping. The final notation beside Dad's name read, Review, discrepancy flagged. The date beneath it made my chest tighten. 3 days before his car went through a highway barrier. 3 days before police told us what pavement had killed him. You knew about this? No, how can I believe that? You shouldn't. The answer stunned me. Adrian leaned forward. You should believe evidence. Ethan's secure phone vibrated. He read the screen, then looked at Adrian. We traced the staffing request. Something in Adrian's posture changed. Where? Administrative account. Internal authorization. Whose office? Ethan hesitated only once. Marcus Hale. Silence. I remembered Marcus smiling at me in the kitchen my second day. Claire Bennett, isn't it? I thought he was being kind. He already knew my name. Why would your consigliere choose your maid? Adrian's gaze returned to my father's photograph. He wouldn't. Apparently he did. I mean, he wouldn't choose randomly. Cold moved through me. Someone had drugged Adrian. Someone had stolen his gun. Someone inside the house was feeding information to Moretti. And the same man whose channel had leaked Adrian's trap had arranged for me to be standing inside that house 6 weeks later. Adrian pulled the old ledger closer. He turned one page, then another. Stopped. His eyes hardened. What? He rotated the book toward me. Beside my father's final discrepancy report was another entry. Surveillance authorized. Below it sat 2 initials. MH. I stared at them. Marcus. Adrian said nothing. He didn't need to. My father had discovered money disappearing from a company tied to the Cole family. Marcus had ordered someone to watch him. 3 days later, Dad was dead. And 8 years after that, Marcus Hale had deliberately brought his daughter into Adrian Cole's house. Did you order my father's death? The question should have terrified me. Instead, saying it made everything inside me go still. Adrian stood behind his desk, the old ledger open between us. He didn't threaten me. He didn't deny it. He walked to the wall safe. What are you doing? Giving you an answer. The lock clicked. He removed a thick black binder and placed it in front of me. Find your father. I stared at him. You expect me to believe your records? I expect you to read them. The pages were filled with dates, payments, initials, operations I didn't understand. Then I found it. Thomas Bennett. My fingers stopped. A surveillance authorization had been opened 7 days before Dad's accident. I read the approval code twice. MH4. Marcus. Adrian nodded. My throat tightened. You knew he was watching my father? No, but this is your organization. Yes. The lack of excuses made me angrier. So people die under your name and you simply don't know? Something cold passed through his eyes. My name is why I intend to know now. I looked back at the page. Dad had discovered money moving from coal-controlled companies into accounts connected to Moretti businesses. Marcus had authorized surveillance. 3 days later, Dad's car crossed a highway barrier. What does MH4 actually prove? That Marcus ordered your father watched. Not killed. No. I hated him for being careful when I desperately wanted certainty. Adrian closed the binder. Emotion gives Marcus room to lie. Evidence doesn't. And what are you going to do? Nothing. I stared at him. Nothing. Nothing he can see. Understanding came slowly. You're keeping him close. Very. He may have killed my father. Yes. He may have helped kill Daniel. That name landed harder. Adrian turned toward the window. For several seconds, he said nothing. Then, Marcus found me after Daniel died. I waited. He told me the ambush was my failure. Was it? I changed the convoy route. Why? Because I believed the original route was compromised. His jaw tightened. Only 6 people knew the replacement. My pulse slowed. Marcus was one. Adrian looked at me. Yes. That night, he set the trap. A fake ledger went into a secondary safe inside his study. Only Adrian, Ethan, and Marcus were allowed near that room. At 12:43 a.m., I sat beside Adrian in the security room watching 6 silent camera feeds. At 1:08, Marcus appeared. My skin went cold. He entered Adrian's study without hesitation. Walked directly to the safe. Entered a code. Wrong once. Correct the second time. The door opened. Marcus removed the fake ledger. Photographed every page. Closed everything exactly as he had found it. I whispered, "He knows your safe code." Adrian didn't blink. "That code was changed yesterday." I turned toward him. "You gave it to him?" "Yes." Another trap. Marcus left the study. 22 minutes later, Ethan's screen flashed. "Encrypted transmission," he said. "Outbound." "To where?" His fingers moved over the keyboard, then stopped. "Moretti relay server." My breath caught. There it was. Not suspicion. A chain. Marcus had accessed information planted specifically for him and transmitted it directly into enemy infrastructure. I looked at Adrian. "You have him now." "No," my frustration snapped. "What more do you need?" "The reason." He stood. "If Marcus has betrayed me for years, removing him tonight only warns everyone working beneath him." He looked at the frozen image of the man who had helped raise him. "We don't cut off the branch." His voice dropped. "We find the roots." Then Ethan's computer chimed again. A second transmission. Different destination. Different encryption. Adrian stopped. Ethan stared at the screen. "That isn't Moretti." "Who is it?" "I don't know. But the destination is inside our own infrastructure." For the first time that night, Adrian's expression changed. Marcus wasn't only sending information out. He was activating something inside Adrian's own house. "Ask Adrian who ordered the convoy the night his brother died." Marcus said it so softly, I almost convinced myself I had misunderstood him. We were alone near the conservatory. Sunlight spilled across the marble floor, warm and harmless. Marcus smiled at me like a kind uncle offering advice. Then he walked away. I found Adrian in his study. "Did you order Daniel's convoy?" He stopped reading. That was my answer. "Yes." My stomach tightened. "You never told me. You never asked." Marcus just did. That changed him. Not visibly. But Adrian closed the folder. "What exactly did he say?" I repeated every word. Adrian listened without interrupting. "Why would he tell me?" "Because he knows I'm dismantling him." "What?" Adrian turned his monitor toward me. 4 accounts. Frozen. 2 transportation contracts. Terminated. 3 names reassigned from Marcus's authority. "You've already started." "I started yesterday." I stared at him. "You're stripping away his power." Quietly. The fake shipment had worked too. Adrian had given Marcus a route to an empty warehouse. Moretti's men arrived at 3:40 that morning. They found nothing except surveillance cameras. Proof Marcus was feeding them information. But the second encrypted transmission remained unidentified. Another enemy. Another question. I looked back at Adrian. "Tell me about Daniel." His jaw tightened. "I received intelligence that our original route was compromised. I changed it 40 minutes before departure." "And Daniel went with you?" He insisted. "What happened?" "Someone was waiting on the new route." His voice never broke. That somehow made it hurt more. "Daniel died at 2:17. The number hit me. His nightmares. The glass. His hand around mine. For 3 years, Adrian had been waking at the exact minute his brother died. You thought it was your fault. I made the decision. Someone leaked it. I still made it. I stepped closer. That's why Marcus told you." Adrian looked at me. "He didn't just betray you. He made sure you blamed yourself." Silence. For the first time, I saw what Marcus had really stolen. Not territory. Not money. 3 years of Adrian's life. My hand moved before I could reconsider. I touched his. Adrian went completely still. This was different from the bedroom. He wasn't drugged. Wasn't dreaming. He could pull away. He didn't. His fingers slowly turned beneath mine. Our palms met. No command. No ownership. Just warmth. Then his phone vibrated. The moment vanished. Adrian opened the message. His eyes became black ice. "What?" He showed me. A photograph of me leaving my old apartment. Taken that morning. Timestamp 10 minutes earlier. My pulse stumbled. "But I'm here." Old footage. Why send it now? Another message appeared. "You have something of mine." Then, "Now I have something of yours." I stared at the screen. "They think they have me." "No." Adrian enlarged the photograph. Behind my image, reflected in a parked car, was a man holding a camera. Adrian recognized him. Moretti surveillance. His phone rang. "Ethan." Adrian answered. Listened. His expression didn't change. When he hung up, he reached for his jacket. "What happened?" "Moretti moved 6 men into coal territory 20 minutes ago." "Because of me?" Because they believe you matter to me. The words caught somewhere inside my chest. Adrian walked toward the door. I grabbed his sleeve. Where are you going? He looked down at my hand, then at me. To make their assumption expensive. Fear rose immediately. You're going after them? No, his voice was terrifyingly calm. I'm going after everything that allows them to come after you. He opened the door. Outside, Ethan waited with 3 captains. Adrian issued orders without slowing. Activate the decoy convoy. Freeze Moretti's port access. Call the neutral families. The entire house moved around him. Not a bodyguard. Not a furious man chasing revenge. A mafia boss going to war. And for the first time, I understood the danger wasn't that Adrian Cole cared about me. It was that his enemies had noticed. If Moretti thinks you're my weakness, Adrian said, I'll let him build his mistake around it. 2 hours later, 3 identical black SUVs left Cole House through 3 different gates. I was inside the second. Moretti's men followed the first. Adrian stayed behind. That surprised me. Some foolish part of me had expected him beside me, gun drawn, personally guarding the woman his enemies had threatened. But Adrian Cole wasn't a bodyguard. He was the man moving every piece on the board. By the time I reached a secure apartment downtown, Ethan had confirmed the decoy was still being followed. Adrian called once. You're inside? Yes. Doors locked? Yes. Good. That's all. A pause. What were you expecting? I don't know. Reassurance. You're alive. Very romantic. Silence. Then, almost imperceptibly, stay that way. The line went dead. I smiled despite myself. 3 hours later, Moretti lost access to 2 shipping terminals controlled through Cole alliances. Adrian had called 3 neutral family heads and presented evidence that Vincent Moretti had violated territorial agreements by sending armed men into Cole territory. He didn't retaliate blindly. He isolated him. Money first. Alliances second. Movement third. By midnight, Moretti was bleeding influence without Adrian firing a shot. My phone rang again. You did all this tonight? I asked. No, when? Contingencies were established years ago. Of course they were. Men like Adrian didn't prepare when danger arrived. They prepared because danger eventually would. I sat at the apartment table surrounded by my father's old financial records. If Moretti believed I mattered, hiding quietly wasn't enough. I needed to understand why Marcus had brought me into Cole House. Numbers blurred together until one handwritten line stopped me. Bluebird, 1st Federal, Box 411. My breath caught. Bluebird. Dad's nickname for me. Only my parents had ever used it. Adrian. His voice sharpened immediately. What happened? I found something. I read the line. Silence. Then I heard him speaking to someone away from the phone. Keys clicked. A minute passed. 1st Federal maintained private boxes before the branch merger, Adrian said. Box 411 existed. Can we access it? It was closed 11 months ago. My stomach sank. By who? Another pause. Claire. Something in his tone frightened me more than the answer. Who? Emily Bennett. My mother. I stood so quickly the chair scraped backward. That's impossible. She was an authorized signer. My mother told me she knew nothing about Dad's work. She lied. No, the word came out too quickly. Mom had spent 8 years insisting Dad's death was an accident. 8 years telling me grief made people search for explanations that weren't there. Then a memory surfaced. 3 weeks before she died, weak from treatment, she had squeezed my hand. Do you remember what your father used to call you? Bluebird, I'd answered. She smiled. Good. Never forget that. I had thought she was confused. She wasn't. My chest tightened. She was telling me where to look. Adrian understood immediately. The box wasn't the destination. It was a clue. I searched the documents again. Bluebird appeared once more beside a monthly payment. Not a bank. A storage company. Adrian traced it within minutes. Bluebird Antiques. A shell registration connected to a storage unit in Queens. Still active. Paid annually. In cash. My mother hadn't destroyed my father's evidence. She had moved it. Adrian's voice lowered. Do not go there. I wasn't planning to. Good. But tomorrow we are. A pause. We. Yes. You're becoming difficult. You hired the wrong maid. I didn't hire you. The word stopped both of us. Marcus had. And suddenly the second encrypted transmission from his phone made sense. Maybe Marcus hadn't been reporting to another enemy. Maybe he had been searching for something. Something my father left behind. Something my mother spent 8 years hiding. Adrian spoke first. Claire. What? If that unit contains what Marcus thinks it does, Moretti isn't the only person who'll come for it. I stared at the word bluebird. For 8 years, I thought my mother had protected me from the truth. Now I understood. She had protected the truth for me. Your mother didn't hide this from you, Adrian said. She hid you from the people looking for it. The storage unit smelled like dust and cold metal. Adrian stood beside me while Ethan's men secured the corridor outside. No dramatic army. No unnecessary noise. Just 4 trusted men and a mafia boss who had spent the entire drive checking mirrors without appearing to move his head. Inside the unit sat old furniture, cardboard boxes, and one steel case beneath a faded blue blanket. My hands trembled. Adrian noticed. He didn't touch me. Your choice. That mattered. I opened it. Photographs. Bank statements. A flash drive. And a black accounting ledger with my father's handwriting across the first page. I knew it instantly. Dad made his 7s with a line through the middle. I sat on the concrete floor. For 8 years, I had believed he died because rain made a highway dangerous. The ledger told another story. Money had moved from coal-controlled companies into Moretti shell corporations. Authorization codes appeared beside every transfer. MH4. Marcus. Then I found the payment connected to Dad's surveillance. 2 days later, another payment. Vehicle maintenance. Brake system. I stopped breathing. Adrian crouched beside me. You don't have to keep reading. Yes, I do. My voice broke anyway. Dad hadn't died in an accident. He had been silenced. I turned pages. 3 years later, Marcus's code appeared again. A payment to a security subcontractor. A route access purchase. A date. The night Daniel died. Adrian became perfectly still. This funded the ambush. It looks like it. He examined the supporting statements. No, I looked at him. No. It proves Marcus paid people connected to the attack. We still established the chain. Even now. Evidence before rage. Then Ethan inserted the flash drive into an isolated laptop. One recent file appeared. A pharmaceutical invoice. The same sedative found in Adrian's glass. Purchased 12 days before I entered his bedroom. Everything snapped together. Marcus had arranged my placement because he believed Mom had given me the ledger. He could search my belongings while I worked inside Cole House. Watch me. Use me. And if necessary, frame me. The gun, I whispered. Adrian looked at me. He wanted it found with you. A maid enters the mafia boss's bedroom. Adrian wakes drugged. His weapon disappears. Then Marcus discovers evidence pointing toward Thomas Bennett's daughter. Perfect. Except I had stayed beside Adrian. Except the hallway camera had captured the first intruder. Except Adrian had grabbed my hand and accidentally kept the intended suspect at the scene long enough for the timeline to collapse. The plan had been tighter than I first understood. Ethan found the missing piece in the service logs. At 2:14 that morning, a task had been entered under a supervisor's credentials ordering me to take fresh linens to Adrian's room at 2:20. Marcus had expected me to arrive after Adrian was fully sedated, after the gun was gone, and exactly when he needed a witness to discover me. The broken glass brought me there 3 minutes early. Adrian grabbing my hand kept me there. A human mistake had ruined Marcus's plan. Ethan's search team found Adrian's missing gun inside a sealed housekeeping supply case tagged with my employee number, hidden in a service closet I was scheduled to open that morning. The weapon had been wiped clean. If Marcus's timetable had worked, the gun would have been found in equipment assigned to me before I could explain anything. Adrian's phone vibrated. He answered. His expression changed. Repeat that. Then every light in the storage facility died. Darkness swallowed us. Ethan's voice came from outside. Cole House just lost power. Internal security override. Adrian was already standing. His phone illuminated his face. Cold. Focused. Marcus knows. How? The second transmission. The mystery clicked into place. It hadn't gone to another family. It had activated a dormant internal network. Marcus had been preparing his own men. By the time we returned to Cole House, emergency lights burned red through the corridors. Adrian became command itself. Ethan, West Wing. Lock external gates manually. Cut Marcus's access. Loyal captains to operations. A distant shot cracked downstairs. I flinched. Adrian didn't. He handed Ethan the ledger. Get that evidence off this property. Then he looked at me. North Service Corridor. Safe room. I know the corridor. His eyes narrowed. I clean your house, remember? For half a second, something softened. Then another alarm sounded. We separated. I reached the safe room junction and pressed my palm to the panel. Access denied. Again. Access denied. Marcus had already corrupted the internal permissions. Footsteps echoed from the west passage, forcing me away from the main corridor. I slipped through the narrow servants' passage behind the dining room, trying to reach the secondary stairwell. Voices stopped me. Marcus. I activated the recorder on my phone. Cole should have died with Daniel, he said beyond the wall. Another man asked, and Bennett? Marcus laughed quietly. Like her father. She learned too much. My blood went cold. I leaned closer. The floorboard beneath my shoe creaked. Silence. I turned. Marcus stood at the end of the corridor. His eyes dropped to my phone, then rose to mine. Claire. His voice was almost gentle. Your father made the same mistake. Call Adrian, Marcus said. Let's find out what you're worth to him. He took my phone and placed it on the dining table. 2 armed men guarded the doors. Outside, Cole House was unnaturally quiet. Marcus had expected chaos. Adrian had given him silence. That should have frightened him. Instead, Marcus smiled. Tell him to transfer the Eastern Docks. You think he'll trade his organization for me? I think Adrian has spent 3 years pretending he doesn't have weaknesses. He leaned closer. Then you walked into his bedroom. I looked at my phone. The recording had stopped. But Marcus didn't know Ethan had installed an automatic encrypted backup after Moretti targeted me. Anything I recorded was already on Adrian's server. Marcus picked up the phone. Call him. I don't need to. His smile faded. Why? Footsteps sounded beyond the doors. Slow. Measured. Adrian entered alone. Black suit. Empty hands. No panic. As he crossed the threshold, his thumb brushed once over the edge of his cufflink. The same encrypted transmitter Ethan used during security sweeps. Marcus was watching Adrian's face, not his hands. I was. Marcus raised his gun toward me. Stop there. Adrian stopped. His eyes touched mine for half a second. Enough. I was alive. He knew. Then he looked at Marcus. You wanted my attention. I want the Eastern Docks. No, Marcus laughed. You came alone for a maid, and you're still pretending you control this room? Adrian's expression didn't change. You don't control the docks. Marcus frowned. You lost access to them 43 minutes ago. Silence. Adrian continued. Your accounts were frozen yesterday. Your captains received your confession 12 minutes ago. Marcus's face drained. What confession? I looked at my phone. Understanding hit him. He grabbed it. Too late. Adrian took one step forward. The recording transmitted automatically. Marcus stared at me. You little, look at me. Adrian said it quietly. Marcus did. You financed Daniel's ambush. Thomas Bennett's death. The sedative in my room. You can't prove I ordered any of it. The ledger proves the money. Your voice proves intent. Your attack on this house proves conspiracy. Marcus's hand tightened around the gun. You still need your captains. I have them. You need Moretti. No, Marcus pulled out his own phone. No messages. No signal. Nothing. Adrian watched him discover the truth. Vincent Moretti disconnected from your secure channel 14 minutes ago. Marcus looked stunned. He wouldn't. He already did. That was Adrian's real retaliation. He hadn't come here to rescue me first. He had spent the uprising destroying every structure Marcus believed would protect him. Money, men, alliances, escape routes. Only then had he entered the room. You already lost, Adrian said. Marcus's composure broke. He swung the gun toward me. A faint vibration touched Adrian's cuff. He had kept Marcus talking long enough. The door behind him opened. Ethan appeared. 2 loyal captains beside him. Marcus froze. His remaining men lowered their weapons. No heroic shootout. No blood-soaked room. Just the exact moment everyone understood where power still lived. With Adrian Cole, Marcus was taken away. Hours later, Moretti accepted negotiations. Without Marcus, he had lost his inside network. 2 major routes were closed to him. Neutral families had refused logistical support, and accounts tied to the incursion were frozen. Continuing the war would cost him money, territory, and allies faster than he could replace them. The war ended not because Adrian became more violent, because he made continuing it too expensive. At 2:17 a.m., I found him sitting on the edge of his bed. The same room, the same hour. No broken glass, no missing gun, no nightmare. I sat beside him. Neither of us spoke. Then I reached for his hand. Adrian stopped me. Gently. My heart tightened. You don't have to, he said. I looked at him. Months of orders. Locked gates. Protection. Suspicion. Trust. Everything had changed inside 5 words. He wasn't asking me to calm him. He wasn't telling me to stay. He was giving me a choice. I know. I placed my hand in his anyway. His fingers closed around mine. Not tightly this time. And when the clock changed to 2:18, Adrian Cole was still awake. Still powerful. Still dangerous. But for the first time, he wasn't holding my hand because his nightmares made him. He was holding it because I had chosen to give it to him. The first time I entered Adrian Cole's bedroom, I broke the only rule everyone in his house feared. 3 months later, the door was open. In the first weeks after Marcus fell, I left Cole House, helped investigators organize my father's records, and finally finished the paperwork to return to the nursing program I had abandoned when my mother became ill. 6 weeks ago, I went back. Tonight, I stood in the hallway after midnight, still wearing navy scrubs from my clinical rotation, and stared through the open doorway. Adrian sat beside the window with a financial report in one hand. Same dark hair. Same controlled expression. Same quiet authority that could make armed men reconsider their choices without him raising his voice. Marcus was gone. His network had been dismantled piece by piece. The evidence my father left behind had exposed the accounts, payments, and men he controlled. Vincent Moretti still ran his family. Adrian still ran his. There had been no friendship between them. Only terms. Moretti surrendered 2 routes, withdrew from Cole territory, and lost the inside access Marcus had spent years building. Adrian had won. And somehow, he had done it without becoming softer. He simply became harder to manipulate. His eyes lifted from the report. You're late. I leaned against the doorway. I don't work for you anymore. I'm aware. Then stop monitoring my schedule. I wasn't monitoring it. You knew I was late. You complain about Thursday rotations every Wednesday. I blinked. The corner of his mouth moved. Barely. That was Adrian laughing. Almost. Returning to nursing school had been my decision, and keeping it mine mattered. He offered to pay my tuition once. I refused. He never offered again. That mattered more than the money ever could. I walked into the room. Not as his maid. Not as his employee. Not because someone had ordered me upstairs. Because I wanted to. Later, the city lights painted pale lines across the ceiling. I woke and glanced at the clock. 2:17 a.m. My body went still. Beside me, Adrian opened his eyes. No violent breath. No nightmare. No broken glass. Just silence. His hand rested over mine. I smiled. Do you remember? Yes. You terrified me. You entered my bedroom without permission. You were drugged. I was unaware of that. You practically kidnapped my hand. A pause. That accusation has some merit. I laughed quietly. His thumb moved across my fingers. Then I noticed his eyes had shifted toward the doorway. Still open. Months ago, that door had been a boundary nobody crossed. Just like everything else around Adrian. His bedroom. His organization. His grief. His trust. He had built his entire life around controlling who could get close enough to hurt him. Marcus had understood that. So had Moretti. They thought caring about someone would make Adrian weaker. They were wrong. Caring about me had forced him to become more precise. And trusting me had forced him to become something power had never required from him. Vulnerable by choice. Claire. I looked at him. Stay. The first Adrian Cole I knew could have made that sound like an order. This Adrian didn't. I could leave. He knew it. More importantly, he would let me. I squeezed his hand. I was planning to. His eyes closed. The clock changed. 2:18. Nothing happened. No memory dragged him backward. No dead brother called his name. For once, the night simply continued. I looked at the man beside me and finally understood the question that had started everything. Who let her into his room? Nobody. The first night, danger opened that door. I walked through because I heard a glass break. The second time, trust opened it. Tonight, it had been opened before I arrived. Adrian Cole had spent his life learning how to make people stay. Fear could do that. Money could do that. Power could do that. But none of those things could make someone come back. Only choice could. Outside those windows, Adrian still ruled his city. Inside them, he had finally learned something harder than power. How to open a door and trust that I would choose to walk through it.